And I think being an American living in Europe for many years does provide a lot of insights and is an interesting perspective. And you are right, when I go home, that's a funny role to live in Vienna. I somehow sound very American, but my German sounds also very American, like, I don't know, reverse Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. And when I go back home to Minnesota or anywhere where I visit, of course, I don't sound as American as I used to. My accent has definitely been affected by this, probably my mindset or even how I look or how I perceive the world. Granted, it's also been 20 years. People grow and change regardless. Yeah. I think maybe just to answer the question is it's so important to make sure that you have real conversations in person with people, right? Of all walks of life.
True.
And I have plenty of friends back home who are voted for Trump and are Republicans, and we talk about everything. And I don't consider myself Democrat or Republican. That's also a very popular American position, I would say, to be independent. I think both parties have their issues and their problems, and some things that, and I don't necessarily disagree with all of one or the other. If people really don't interact with each other, that's where problems happen. And I think if Americans and Europeans don't talk to each other, really sit down and have conversations like this, maybe not with cameras around, but I think that's getting to some of the problem, or solving some of the problem. We lose a lot when we're having only communications online or reading from whatever media sources or however you get your information. There is a lot to that.
Unfortunately, I think we strengthen our confirmation biases, and we stay more and more in our bubbles. And the way that communications are happening through the different platforms, this is just going worse. I'm trying to figure out to what extent, for instance, my ChatGPT, with memory switched on, is also kind of like pushing me more and more into my own bubble, into my own confirmation biases. And to what extent can we maybe start thinking of platforms and systems that are challenging a bit your worldview? Otherwise, you start believing that everyone around you is just like you, and you're always right, and you get much more emotion about certain topics and extreme, and it's a spiral.
Well, and now we may be entering the self-help part of this discussion. I don't know. It's possible.
I guess you've been listening to my podcast before.
I don't.
There are episodes like this. I'm sorry for that.
No, that's quite fine. I've done my homework. I've done a lot of growth and healing over the years.
That over the past year, the usage of ChatGPT has leaned much more towards exactly companionship and probably also shrinking in a sense than it was before. Before that, we would use it like a year or 2 years ago, we would use it much more as a creativity companion or sparring partner. Now we share much more about our personal life with it.
I that makes sense to me, right? I think if we step back for a second to talk about your first topic, is the most important relationship all of us have in our own lives is with ourselves.
And the most important story that we tell ourselves is the one that we tell to ourselves.
And so, if that follows, if you want that story to change, then you have to be willing to get out of your own comfort zone. And I think a lot of the tools that we have out there are, and a lot of the things that we do in our life are based on comfort. Of course. And so I think those things about why people maybe get into their own confirmation bias and their own sound loops has something to do with that. I think it is, maybe there are ways that these tools can also be used to nudge people out of their comfort zones. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there with great ideas about it, and that need to be found and identified, and this needs to be integrated. But if the trend is that ChatGPT is going towards a lot more towards companionship or asking questions about purpose or mental well-being, that's not surprising to me, because we're all looking for relationships, and we're all looking for answers to what's going on in our lives. And if these algorithms, if these tools are helpful in that sense, okay, maybe they can supplement having people going and talking with career counselors or going to therapy or things like this. I don't think they're not compatible. I don't think they're incompatible.
Actually, so. I think that they're very compatible. And I'm also not surprised, because I think also the first time that we have developed something similar to ChatGPT, and that was, I think, already back then, when, in the 90s and the 80s, the first computers where you could actually just talk to, people started using it exactly for that. They started sharing their problems.
Sure.
So that's not the surprising part for me. And there's actually nothing surprising. The only thing that I see right now as relevant is more like a warning sign that as soon as we let these systems go so close, come so close to us, they kind of tap into the narrative that we ourselves are developing about life and about ourselves, and that's a very important narrative. That's, if you could say, that's the code of humans. It's the narrative, I do believe in the storytelling part. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think it's an essential part of what we are as humans. And now we have systems who have cracked this code. So if there is nudging happening in whatever direction, it is going to be potentially dangerous. I don't know who is going to instrumentalize it for their own purposes.
Sure.
It's like, Sure. So this is what worries me, and we are social creatures. We would treat these systems as if they are part of our social groups. I don't know if we are.
I mean, they are already. I mean, there's something called social media. I think.
No, now ChatGPT becomes your friend.
We've been talking. This has been in movies and in popular culture already for years, and I think, a couple of things to think about this. Number one is, we should make the distinction between artificial intelligence and artificial wisdom.
How do you define wisdom in general? Then please give me a definition of artificial wisdom.
Oh goodness, I think I might skip that question. Maybe I should know a thing or two about wisdom after all these years, but I would say that. Look.
Any day now.
Okay, Ed, come on. Thanks. I think no. Wisdom has a lot to do with your ethics and your sense of, and your experiences, and knowing how to apply the knowledge that you have. And I think in the way that hopefully is for the greater good and meaningful, and it again goes back to purpose. But too many words that we can also define for the rest of the day.
Sure.
My point is with all these tools, ChatGPT and all the other ones that are around and to come, how they're programmed and what are the rules and the parameters in them are, I think, very critical. What is the objective of trying to build them, and what happens when these intelligence levels surpass ours, which is going to happen much sooner rather than later.
And if you're just as passionate about innovation as we are, hit subscribe for the Recursive podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We're everywhere.